This is the Marathon Handbook Podcast, and we are live from Toronto, Canada. We are at the TCS Toronto Waterfront Marathon Expo, bringing you a live version of our podcast. And we have with us a very, very special guest. I get to call you Canadian legend, Natasha Wodak, Canadian record holder in the marathon. Tash, we're going to pick your brain all about everything you've learned in your career as a marathon runner in a few seconds here. But I got to introduce my co-hosts, Katelyn Tocci and Alex Cyr. Katelyn has come all the way from sunny Costa Rica to come to equally sunny Toronto this week. You've had a good time thus far.
Yeah, it's been amazing. The weather's great. I'm thinking about moving up here with you guys.
Yeah, so we've done so much already in the last few days. I thought it would be a good idea to first start off by talking about what makes Toronto special. A big part of our audience is, of course, from all over the world, Americans for the most part. And Alex and I, this is our home race. We are Torontonians. So we want to share with our audience what we've seen so far at the Toronto Waterfront Marathon weekend and give them a little bit of FOMO, right? So right off the top, let's talk about the coolest things that we've seen so far marathon weekend. Mr. Cyr, what's your number one thing so far this year? This Waterfront Marathon.
Okay, I participated in a game show for runners, which I have never seen happen before until this year. This was like a new product. Laura Green, who's a running comedian.
Okay.
Which is a job title, I suppose.
From Boston.
Sure.
Boston-based.
Based in Boston. She's been touring major races across North America, doing this running game show that she calls, not Jeopardy for copyright reasons, but Yeopardy with a Y. And it pits 3 contestants against each other, and they have to answer running-related questions. They had it at Second City, which is like one of the prime comedy locations here in Toronto. Second City, Toronto, by the way, the original Second City, not Chicago, which is something that very few people know. And we had a great time. And the coolest part of this game show was that I won.
No, you didn't win, dude.
No, you didn't win.
They don't know that.
I won. Natasha here. I won.
So there were 3
You lost.
contestants. We've got 2 of them on the stage right now, and Tash completely kicked their ass. It was a trivia. It was sort of like it was like Jeopardy. It was a trivia-based show, totally packed. Did anybody go to this game show? No, it was cool.
Well,
there you go.
Ben
There you
was
go.
there.
Ben was keeping score with me.
Yeah,
That's
he
right.
kept score for Natasha. He was very generous.
Oh, shocking that she won.
And so, my favorite part of the game show
I know what you're going to say.
Oh, no.
was when Alex did something called the sprinkler on stage.
Could you do it for us now?
Could you just show us?
Show us. Show us. Show us.
Come on, you want to?
This
So-
is not. No, well,
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Let's see this. Come on, let's see it.
this is really bad podcast content, but
There you
this
go.
is a quick sprinkler.
We can explain what he's doing.
There you go. It's probably good for your
Take it,
hips,
baby.
actually.
Very good dance moves.
I think this morning my right glute felt a little bit weird on my run, and I wonder if it had to do with this.
We had to do the sprinkler. You guys did it for quite a while. Check out our Instagram because there's an extended clip of it on our Instagram.
Yeah,
Yes.
it just so happened that our third contestant, John Suckling, is a guy who looks a little bit like me, who was wearing the exact same clothes as me,
Yes.
and we were doing it at the same time, so that kind of added to the visual.
But he also did the worm, so
And he did a really good job at doing the worm.
That was a good
That was
worm.
impressive. Yeah.
that was cool. That was really neat. That's something. Laura did this event. She did this game show in Boston, so that was neat that it came to Toronto, and a great fit because Toronto, a legendary comedy town. Katelyn, what's
Yes.
your top thing you've experienced thus far? I mean, we haven't even run. The marathon isn't even happening
No,
yet.
the marathon hasn't even happened yet. And just one thing I want to mention before my first thing is that this is my first time to Toronto, my first time to Canada, and just the atmosphere and the people that are here, it's completely different than any other marathon I've ever been to. Like, I really feel that way. The sense of community, the friendliness, and the way at the press conference when we're explaining the marathon, it was like with this, it's such a big marathon, but he gave it this small town feel, this like really sweet community feel. So it was like, it seems just like a very special place and a special marathon. So anyway, wanted to share that because it's been really great. My favorite thing so far has absolutely been the shakeout run this morning I did with the Move Her Mind program. It was so inspiring. It is I know that Natasha can explain a lot better as to what the program was about, but it's to inspire women to move and women to exercise, and women who came to run the half marathon and the marathon here at the Toronto Waterfront Marathon. And so it was this huge group of over 200 women who got together, who had trained to be here. And it was extremely inspiring to talk to a lot of them while we ran and hear their stories about, from before they had started running, how they started running, and what their goals are for this weekend. So it's just an amazing program, and I'd like to even be more a part of it. It's very special.
So your answer surprises me. I was convinced you were going to say that the Don't Trip Mile was your favorite part of the weekend so far.
It's a very close second.
We should explain this.
Okay.
Last night, it feels like a million years ago. It was last night.
Yeah.
Okay. Last night, there's a pop-up on Queen West, and they hosted what's called the Don't Trip Mile, aptly named, because it's like an unsanctioned race where you run like crazy for 1 mile through the streets of Toronto, around Ossington area, in traffic.
It was so dangerous.
It was,
it was completely dangerous.
Kind of madness. You ran it.
I ran it.
Yeah. You
Yes.
didn't lose your teeth. Why? You're like, why?
Yes, people did fall.
Yeah.
So the Don't Trip Mile was, yes. It was very fun. It was a very fun time. A lot of crazy people who wanted to go out and run a mile at night in the rain.
It's what the kids do.
I'm too old for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That just seems way past my bedtime. One, major one.
It
Two,
was.
dangerous.
Yeah.
Very dangerous.
Tough
No
to get
go.
insurance for a
Life
mile
is short,
like
man.
that.
Don't waste it on stuff like that.
But a neat feature nonetheless. I
Very
would
fun.
say, so for me, this is going to sound kind of wacky because I'm not running on Sunday. I'm running Philadelphia in November. I had to do a 32-kilometer long run this morning. I don't know how I'm sitting. I'm very comfortable right now. I did my 32K. I toured a bit of the course. Saw a lot of people out running, a lot of nervous Nellies, shaking things out this morning. A lot of people running really fast. Like, I think when you get nervous, you tend to run quickly.
Yeah.
And lots of super shoes out there. Big groups. Saw your group, saw you running.
Yep.
And yeah, I didn't see you though. I saw her though. Because I saw our videographer Kosuke running with her. That's
Yeah.
why. And he's tall. So, and he was the only guy in the entire group of 200 women. So,
Easy to spot.
yeah. So it's just kind of amazing. Like, the energy in the city is big. We just came from Chicago last week. Very similar vibe. Now, obviously, Chicago, we're talking 55,000 runners. So it's massive, but not that far behind today out on the lakeshore in terms of number of runners out there. I thought that was super special. I also ran in the ASICS Metaspeed Sky in my long run. I cheated in my long run by wearing super shoes in my long run.
Oh, you were bragging about dragging your running buddy. You didn't tell me that you were wearing the Metaspeed Skies.
Poor
That's right.
guy.
That's right. I want to pick Tasha's brain about ASICS super shoes in a couple of seconds here because she is an ASICS athlete, conveniently enough. So I want to talk to you about the shoes a little bit when we get into things. Let's pivot now. Let's put our special guest on the hot seat here. Are you ready for this?
Yep.
We're going to pick Natasha's brain about her evolution as a marathon runner, because she did not start running as a marathon runner. She started as a track athlete and a cross-country athlete, and a damn good one at that. And then you pivoted to the marathon. You dabbled first, and then you decided I'm going to take some time away from that. That was hard. And then you've put together one hell of a marathon running career, which is not over yet. So, when was your first marathon?
My first marathon was here in Toronto, actually.
Yes.
In 2013, I debuted here. So Toronto Waterfront Marathon holds a very special place in my heart because there's nothing like the feeling of crossing the finish line from your first marathon. And there's pictures of me crying into my hands. Whether you've had a good race or a bad race, there's tears because it is such an amazing accomplishment, and there's nothing like it. So very special to be back here. And I came back last year, and I won the Canadian title, and it was so cool to be back where I ran my first one, and to be back, over 10 years later, 11 years later, a totally different athlete, and finishing and still crying.
Yeah.
I cry at the finish of every marathon, no matter what. It's
Every
pretty
single
incredible.
one.
I've cried at the finish line of every single marathon, yes.
Now, let's be honest here. 2013, when you crossed the finish line, beyond being emotional and being elated that it was finished, did you think in 2013 you were going to turn into the marathon runner you are today?
Absolutely not. After that, I said I didn't want to run another one, and I didn't run another one for 7 years.
Wow. That's pretty rare, actually, when you think about it. Somebody who tried a marathon as an elite runner, because you did really well,
Thank you.
and then walking away from it for a while, and then coming back to it.
Yeah, originally I was like, I'll run another one the following year, and I got injured. So I didn't run at all in 2014. And then I started running again and competing in 10Ks, and I made the World Championships team in the 10,000 meters. So there was no time to run a marathon. And that's just kind of how it went. I just ended up being really good in the 10,000, and I kept making teams with the 10,000. So if you can make World Championship, Olympic teams, and not have to run as far, made sense to me to stay in the 10K than have to run the marathon.
Right? Yeah.
So what made you decide to go, after 7 years of being off, what made you decide to go back and try it again?
COVID, baby. So the pandemic hit, and everybody knows the Olympics were postponed a year, right?
Right.
And everything was shut down. And I remember hearing about the Arizona Marathon Project, which was held in December of 2020. And here in Canada, we had nothing. There were 0 races. And I thought, it was in September, I thought, well, why don't I give it a try? There's nothing else racing, and I have nothing to do. So I decided to train for that marathon, and boom, I ran the Olympic standard that day. And that was it. I was kind of hooked on the marathon after that. I loved it.
Yeah, I guess there's no turning back once you qualify for an Olympic marathon, right?
Yeah, I think if I had that, I would want to continue with it as well. I'd be pretty inspired.
Although there is this trope and / thing that people do say about the marathon when they're deep into it in their careers, that when you go to the marathon, there is no going back. Is that true?
Well, no, because I ran one in 2013, and I didn't do another one for 7 years.
But that's just one. Like, once you got into in 2020, 2021, you became a dyed-in-the-wool marathoner. Some people think that once they've gotten into their career as marathoners, it's impossible to go back and have a good 10K season.
I feel this is like, are you asking for a friend here? What's going on? You're like
I'm
asking
asking
for yourself.
for myself. I'm very nervous about the next year. And
We should say that Alex is a very fast 10K half marathon runner, 105 half marathon. It's very good. Firmly sub-elite, we'll say, and knocking on the door of elite, but you've never run a marathon before.
Never.
So you're nervous that once you run a marathon, you won't be able to go back to...
Okay, there's a bit of the self-serving in this question, but also just in curiosity, because what I've noticed is that the new marathoners of today seem to dabble in the marathon earlier, at least around Canada and the States, in their early to mid-20s, and then they double back and they have a season of the 10,000 and go back to the half marathon. That seems to happen more now than it used to, and I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that, because I usually used to think that it was you were a track runner, then a half marathoner, then a full marathoner until you retire.
Absolutely. I agree. We're seeing that more and more, not necessarily in Canada as much. I'd like to see more young women running the marathon. But yeah, like in Australia, their best female marathoners are also, they get to choose between the 10K and the 5K and the marathon because they've qualified in like multiple events.
Oh, really?
I think for women though, really, like we're still catching up. Like, it hasn't been that long, to be honest. Like, it's only in my lifetime. When I was born, we weren't even allowed to compete in the marathon at all. We weren't allowed to run the marathon in, the early 80s. So we're still catching up. And so when I was in college in the early 2000s, women in college were not running the marathon. Like, it was not a thing.
No.
Like, even the 10K I was discouraged from. It was like 3K, maybe the 5K. And now, it's like, no, young women are just as capable as men are to run the marathon in their 20s. But I think it's just taking more time. And so I think we're going to see what you're saying there is more young women and men running the marathon earlier, because it's just more of a popular thing, I guess, these days. Does that make sense?
Absolutely makes sense. Now, 2013, you run a marathon. It goes quite well. I remember I was there, but I imagine looking back on that first marathon, there were a lot of mistakes.
Yes.
What were some kind of rookie mistakes that you would share with the audience that you made now that you look back on and you're like, oh man, I wish I would have known that going into the first marathon, or I wish I wouldn't have done X, Y, or Z?
I think for me, I executed the race actually perfectly. One of my best executed races ever. I
Wow.
negative split in Toronto, which is pretty hard to do by
tough.
1 second. I was pretty even. So I'm really I'm always very proud of how I debuted there. But I think it was just the training that there's just so much that can go wrong in the training. And I don't think I appreciated the toll that it took on me mentally and physically. And so I think too, just being younger and time in my life that I was in, I wasn't rested, I wasn't recovered, I was just exhausted all the time. And ultimately I didn't enjoy the marathon build. I didn't enjoy the process. And now I love it. I love the whole process of the build. I love seeing the fitness gain. I get excited about it. And whereas before, that whole process was just oh my God, I have this run tomorrow. I don't want to do that. That's way too far. I know how hard it's going to be. And I think I've learned now how to just prepare for those things. Do all the things you can. Make sure you're going to get a good night's sleep. Have everything prepped the morning of. Know exactly where your route is. The more prepared you are for a big training session, the better it's going to go. I think that's a huge piece of advice I could give.
You coach athletes now as well. You coach women. And you're guiding, I imagine, some of your athletes through their first marathon experience. What are some of the tips that you share with them when they're going into the first marathon?
Yeah, I think, I always say patience is key, and to aim to just really take the first 21K almost like an easy run. You want it to actually feel pretty easy. And you want to say out loud in that first part of the run, this feels too easy. I want to hear you say those words out loud. This feels too easy. Instead of it being oh, wow, this is feeling a little too spicy, because you don't know how it's going to feel until it's too late. And so if it feels too easy at halfway, that's great. That means you have room to grow in the second half. And then when you're in the second half, it's so awesome and so much more fun to pass other people and to feel good and to thrive rather than combust and crumble and suffer. I want everyone to have a good experience in their first marathon and feel like they finished with, I know I can run that faster, and want to come back and do it again, rather than, oh my gosh, that was so hard, I blew up, I suffered, all that stuff. So I always say, I want that first half to really feel easier than you think it needs to be. Seriously, easy. Hear my words, people.
Easy. Run easy in the first half. The number one tip.
We hear that all the time. We
Hard to
preach it.
do.
We preach it.
Hard to
However,
do.
we probably even, at least I know, I've blown up. I'm a coach, and I tell my athletes the same exact thing. And I can't tell you how many times I've been so tempted to go out faster than I should, right? It's so much easier to practice what you preach. It's great advice.
Oh, it's easy until it's not. And
Right.
I have done the exact same thing. Even in Nagoya this past March, I knew what I should do, and I knew that I did not do that. I did not practice what I
Exactly.
preached.
That's
the
what
pace
happens.
went out. It was too hot, and it felt it felt pretty good. I was like, yeah, this feels good. But I knew it felt just a little bit over where it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened? I blew up at 25K in a marathon. When
Which
you blow
is
up at
early.
25K, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
That's a long march back.
Yeah.
Oh, I stopped at 30K. That was the first time in my entire life, in my entire career, that I've dropped out of a race. But I had gone, in that 5K, I had lost about 2.5 minutes in 5K. And I knew it was over. But yeah, if your gut is telling you in that first half, this is just a little too, listen to your gut. Listen.
Now,
Don't be me.
I wanted to pick your brain about this as well because you just ran the World Championship Marathon in Tokyo, and it was an appallingly hot day. Perhaps, just watching it, watching the live stream, it was did not inspire me to want to run a marathon that day. And not usually when you watch a marathon, you want to go out afterwards and run because you're just you're all fired up from watching the experience. Watching that was that's a war of attrition. There was every elite athlete is throwing water on their head and stuffing ice down their sports bra and taking so much water in, even all the way to 41K, grabbing little cups and drinking water out of desperation. Total war of attrition. When a race is not ideal, how do you make changes? How do you go about, take Tokyo as an example. I'm sure you went in there hoping that it was going to be nice conditions where you could run pretty competitively and run a little bit faster than you end up running. How do you, what's your decision-making process the days before the day and the day before? And to that, if you're dealing with an athlete on the weekend, say there's wind, there could be some wind. How do you communicate that to them?
We knew that Tokyo was going to be, it was 30 Celsius and 85% humidity. So, we knew what it was going to be. And I'll take Berlin, for example. A few weeks ago, I don't know if you guys are aware, it was about 23 degrees there, maybe 25 by the finish, which
Very
is
hot.
Warm. It's hot. It's hot enough that you have to adjust your pace. Now, a lot of people didn't want to. They were just no, I trained for Berlin. I came here to run fast, and that's what I'm going to do. Well, you're not better than science.
Yeah.
You're not better. The sun is going to eat you alive if you don't adjust your pace. It's the same thing with the wind this weekend. It's the same thing. You have to adjust your goals. If you don't, you're going to blow up. You can't fight these nature. Science says if it's hotter than 27 degrees, on average, you're going to run between 8 to 10 minutes slower than your current fitness. That is what I was told.
Yeah.
And I ran 10 minutes slower than where we thought I was at. There's, of course, anomalies that run really well, but the girls that were first and second were also 10 minutes off their personal best. So, if you adjust and you run according to a plan that you've sat down and you've sat down with your coach, if you have a coach, and you said, okay, it's going to be really windy in these sections, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm a small woman. I'm going to find a guy to coast off of or whatever, okay? Ladies, use those guys, okay? I'm not going to talk bad about guys, but hey, how many guys have sat on me in races? A lot. So I tend to, use what you can out there. Have people help you out. Slow the pace down. And one thing in the wind, if it's going to be windy, one tip I have is think about your face. I know it's a little bit of a weird one, but if your face is scrunched and you're gritting your teeth, that's not good. Think about kind of relax your face. I'm telling you, when it's windy tomorrow and you're out there, just think, okay, is my face relaxed? Okay, good. I'm doing something right. But if you're gritting your teeth and you're scrunching your face, you're trying too hard in that weather. So you need to relax your face and relax your body.
So in Tokyo, were you you just went, blah.
It wasn't windy in Tokyo.
Were you making were you shaking your face and that sort of thing in the second half of the race?
In the last 6K, I was trying not to cry, and
Oh, Jesus.
it was really rough out there. But the crowd, I used the crowd. So when it got really tough, there were times where I was starting to grit, and the crowd was cheering. And at one point, I went like this with my hands. I kind of lifted them up to look at the crowd, and they went crazy. They're like, Canada! Go Canada! They were screaming. And it gave me this like second win. So I did that a few times when I felt like I was really suffering. So if you go through part of the course and there's a lot of people, don't be afraid to like give a wave. People will go nuts and they will cheer for you. Like, I'm telling you. So just like use the crowd to help you, because it really does feel good when the crowd cheers for you. And then what happens? You smile and you feel good, and you're just like, your body reacts to that. So use the crowd, smiling. Don't scrunch your face.
I think that can help a lot. I have an athlete who she ran a marathon in the spring and she ran a half in the fall, and she put her first name on the front and the back of her shirt. And she said that the number of people who were screaming for her while she was running, that it was incredible. Like, it gave her the best motivation, and she PR'd in both. So she said, put your name on your shirt. And I said, I think I'm going to do that next time. Because like you're saying, just the crowd can help you so much. And in addition, if you hear your own name being screamed, I was trying to stay next to someone who had Katelyn.
So-
And Heartbreak Hill for a little bit. It helped a bit.
I think there's something to that. I remember another Canadian Olympian doing this very thing, Eric Gillis, who is a Canadian marathoner, representing Canada at the Olympics. At the cross-country championships here in Canada, he purposely ran on the very left side of the cross-country course to get in the face of spectators in order to scare them so that they would scream as he was passing by, to get a jolt of adrenaline of strangers screaming at his face.
That's a very weird hack.
Yes.
That is very strange.
He
have not
podiumed
heard
that
that.
year.
I mean,
Whatever
he's a smart
works.
guy, so
Yeah.
he's done very well. So
I just had a realization as you were telling this last story, Natasha, that this is like a very Natasha thing. And I think I'm starting to realize one thing that's special about you. I think you managed to make marathons very fun. And if I was in your shoes, I don't know if I'd be able to do it as well as you. Some people might say that you've like reached the pinnacle of sport. At least in Canada here, you're the record holder. I could see myself getting there. Well, probably not. But say if I did get there, I could get myself prone to thinking, well, what is there left to do? I've already set the record. But you seem to always find a way to make things fun. And I feel like this weekend, let's not hide it, now we're at 16 hours pre-race. The weather's not going to be perfect. Some people will contend with the harsh reality that this might not be a weekend for personal bests. When I'm in that situation, I struggle to stay motivated. I struggle to make things fun. How do you still always find a way to enjoy yourself, even after setting the Canadian record, after getting this experience in the sport?
I'll say I remember World Championships in Budapest in 2023. I was in the best fitness of my life. Like, I was fitter than I was when I ran 2:23, and I was so excited to compete at World Championships, go for a top 10, run the Olympic standard. And then about a week out, we looked at the weather and we were like, it's going to be hot. It's going to be really hot. And I had to, I guess, grieve it. I had to grieve that I wasn't going to run a PB. I probably wasn't going to run an Olympic standard. And I was sad. I was really bummed out because I trained my butt off. Like a lot of people, probably like for Berlin or wherever, where you show up and you're like, but you have to accept it and then you make a new plan. And I was like, all right, well, it's going to be hot. I have a coach who has a PhD in physiology. He's going to give me the best possible plan. I was 13th at the Olympic Games in a hot marathon. I can compete well in these conditions. So I looked at it as, okay, how do I use this to my advantage? How can I beat some of the girls that are faster than me because I run a smarter race? And so I think going in, I was probably ranked like 25th or 30th, and I placed 15th simply because I ran a smarter race than a lot of these women, and I paced myself well. So sometimes you can use these conditions to your advantage.
Do you know what? I love what you just said, and I'm going to use it because you said I had to grieve the marathon before I went. And I'm taking it as you're not being negative, you're being realistic. Yes. And I think that it's so hard for us after we've worked so hard for 6 months for that time to be able to say, no, I need to take a step back and I need to adjust my goals. No one wants to do it. And to feel the grief before and then accept it, then you don't feel horrible afterward. You kind of like get through it, and then you, like you're saying, you're strategic and you run your own race, and you did an amazing job because you're really smart about it. So I like that, and I'm going to use it. That's amazing advice. Really good.
So let's talk a little bit about this race in particular. You have had success at this race a couple of times. You know the race quite well. You're going to be pacing one of your athletes tomorrow as well, so you get that experience, which is nice. A little less stressful, although I imagine it's kind of like as the coach, right? You want to make sure that she does well. Let's talk through the challenges and the best parts of this race as well, because it is sort of a race of literally two halves. The first half, very fast for the most part, and the second half requires a lot of focus. Let's talk first about that first fast half. What are some highlights of that first half that you remember from running the whole marathon distance?
Yeah, I think the first 5K goes by quite quickly because I think I was really distracted by looking at the street because there's all those freaking streetcar things.
The tracks.
Those tracks
Tracks
everywhere. So really be careful.
Yeah.
I feel like I was really thinking about like, don't break your ankle on this. And it is slightly downhill. So you're like, allow yourself to be a little bit quick in that first 5K. It's totally normal. And then when you get out onto, I guess, what do you call this? Like the High Park area?
Yes, like the west end of the city, yeah.
The west end of the city, everybody. There was a lot of people cheering in that section. I felt like there was lots of like run groups out there, and it was really fun. And you're still feeling really good at that point. So I always say to people, like, really enjoy that. Like, high five the crowd. Know where your family or friends are going to be on the course. That's really helpful, especially in the latter stages. We'll get to the latter stages, but we're just in the first half right now.
We'll get there, yeah.
Yeah. So I would say in the first half of the course, just be prepared for that little hill. I think it's around 15K or 16K. There's a little bit of a hill. And when you're hitting the hills, just think about effort. Same effort. Don't kill yourself on the hill. Don't go anaerobic on the hill. Bad idea, people. You're going to slow down on the hill. It's okay. If people pass you going up the hill, you just think, that's silly. I'll see you on the downhill. Bye. And let them pass you.
And then moving into the second half of this race, one of the cruel things about the Toronto Waterfront Marathon, if you're running the whole distance, is all of the half marathon runners just like suddenly turn off and go back to the finish line at about 20K, thereabouts. Alex, you've run the half. You ran it last year, right?
I am a left turn at 20K enthusiast.
That's
Boo.
and then the marathon runners keep going out to the east end of the city. What is the most important area of focus that you found in that race? Like, where can the race kind of go pear-shaped for you, where you really had to focus and you had success coming out of the race?
You know, that area where you were standing last year, actually.
Oh, yeah.
There's a whole bunch of little turns and stuff, and it can be distracting because there's a lot of people that will cheer for you will be in that section, and there's a lot of turns, and for me, I kind of lost focus in that area, and I slowed down a bit, and because I'm a cadence runner, so when there's a nice straight road, I can just like get in it, but this one you were turning, and I didn't know where I was going, and I found that very distracting, so I think to just like, yes, enjoy the cheers and stuff, but you're in that second half of the race. You're 25K now. Now it's time to focus and really start to like just think about keeping your cadence, keeping the same, rhythm, and not getting too thrown off by all the turns in that area.
Let's talk about shoes. Let's talk about ASICS. We should give a shout out to ASICS. They've been a great partner for us, in particular at Marathon Handbook this week, and obviously they're a big part of what's going on at the Toronto Waterfront Marathon as well. You're an ASICS athlete. You get to try all the shoes.
I do.
What shoes do you train in, and what shoes do you run your marathon in?
So, I do all of my long run workouts, marathon workouts and long runs in super shoes. So just like you did today, I do every dang weekend.
You use super shoes for every workout and every long run.
Heck yeah, baby.
Your Strava stats are doped.
Oh, totally. I don't care.
And which ones? Which super shoes?
I wear them all.
Oh, you wear them all.
I wear the Sky, I wear the Edge, I wear the Ray. When you have unlimited super shoes, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, good
I
point.
like to feel fast all the time. There's never a workout where I'm like, oh, I'm just going to wear the Nova Blast so I feel slow today. No, thank you. And you feel more recovered. I'm 43 years old, turning 44. I need every advantage that I can get. So I wear the super shoes. They help with recovery, and I feel great when I'm out there. So I'm never turning back.
So, fair point. So if you've got an unlimited budget, wear super shoes for every workout and every long run, and that is Olympian approved. Yeah.
You can also use them as paperweights. You
Yeah.
can
Door
put them in your
stops,
fridge.
wherever you need them.
Okay, but all of my long runs, I will say, have work in them. I never do a long run that's longer than an hour 45 that doesn't have marathon pace in it.
Right.
Like, I'm not just out there running like 30K at like slow, easy pace.
So what about an easy run then? Like, will
Yeah.
you switch out of super shoes for an easy run?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
I'll wear the Nova Blast,
Nova Blast.
or the Nimbus,
Or the Nimbus
which are
too.
the complete opposite of the.
Mr.
Nimbus?
Sears a Nimbus guy.
I love the Nimbus.
I'm a Nimbus guy for easy runs. I totally bought into this idea that you shouldn't wear super shoes until your race to preserve the psychological advantage. That's BS.
A lot of people do it, and it's fine if you want to do that. But I like
you're
to
a
go.
loser,
I
is
like
what
to
you're
go in
saying.
my training, and I like to execute every single workout, and know that I'm in that shape. Not be like, well, if I had super shoes on, I would have run 2 seconds or 3 seconds faster per kilometer. No, I just do it.
But that's the best thing about having a slower workout. You can hedge. In fact, could have been a little bit faster.
You lie to yourself.
It's like this
Yeah.
was slow, but I
You're
mean, put the skies on.
You're probably right.
What's your? Do you have a favorite between the Sky, the Edge, and the Ray?
I race in the Sky, which I'm different because the majority of elite marathoners wear the Edge.
Do they
Really?
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
But
that.
I think, well, those are from the people that I've talked to.
Yeah.
I think it's just because I've been wearing the Sky since I first started with ASICS in 2021. And so that's what I wear. But I do workouts in the Edge all the time, and it's fine. But now it's like a thing where I know I just like, I race in the Sky.
wanna go
I did race the Canadian Half Marathon Championships in the Ray, and that's a totally different feel. It's very bouncy. I'm a little scared to run a full marathon in it because I don't know if it's too bouncy for such a long distance. So I need someone to try it out and let me know.
Alex, you've had that feedback. You think that like the ASICS's most fancy super shoe, the Metaspeed Ray, is like almost too springy for a marathon.
Yeah. So
Hopefully nobody here has the Metaspeed Ray and they're wearing
Yeah.
it tomorrow. I feel bad like we're putting in their head right now, but could be beneficial though.
yeah.
The girl that placed 32nd behind me in the marathon at Worlds, she was wearing the Ray. So,
you
and
go.
she said it was great.
Yeah.
But that's my one sample. I know one person that has done. And I'll try it out for us. If I had, actually, I should have brought them and done it tomorrow.
Like strut around with them.
I get to be one of those people tomorrow that goes left because I'm only running half. I'm only pacing till
Yes,
halfway.
That's right. That's right.
So
yeah.
I get to
One
stop.
of those.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've seen both. I've seen the Rays and also the Skies and the Edges on major podiums. So I'm wondering if it comes down to preference. We did a thing in High Park
Yeah.
on Thursday. The whole crew was out for a workout, and I tested them one after the other, and the difference between the Edge / Sky and then the Ray was pretty great. I found that my toes were almost sinking into the Ray, but they were so light that it almost compensated for that.
Yes.
But just totally different feeling. And I left thinking that if I was doing a half or eventually a full, I might like something a bit firmer. So I do get it. But maybe for a 5K, I'd go for super light. Yeah, but they're very different.
Yes.
All right, we only got a couple minutes left here, and before we close out with you, Natasha, gotta ask. Okay, so we're 16 hours away from the start of the race, more or less, as we're sitting here talking. In this last kind of 16-hour time frame, if you were racing tomorrow, well, first of all, you probably wouldn't be sitting here.
Probably would.
You might be, actually. You might be. It's a comfortable chair. So what would you be doing in the last 16 hours for your prep before tomorrow's marathon?
I like to keep it as normal and as real as possible. I remember in Tokyo, it was like 4 weeks ago already, or 5 weeks ago, I met my parents and I had ice cream.
You had ice cream the night before your race?
The day before, yeah.
I
have a pretty good stomach.
That's impressive.
I guess so.
Yeah, I had ice cream with like chocolate on it, and we just like hung out. And then at night, I do normal things. I don't know. I FaceTime with family and friends back home or whatever.
Yeah.
Eat normal things. But I would not be just sitting in bed right now. I mean, I wouldn't be listening to music or just sitting in bed. I find that then you just overthink. So I like to distract myself with like being around people. So I would like probably be sitting. We have like an elite area at the Sheraton Hotel. All the elites stay there and they eat all their meals together. So one of the nice things is you can sit at a table with 8 people and you just chat for like 2 hours. And so I think probably for Toronto last year, I probably sat at dinner and just chatted with people and try to keep it low key. Have one last conversation with your coach. Go over, let them pump your tires up, tell them how fit you are.
Yeah.
So I would
tell yourself that.
Tell yourself I am the fittest in the world.
Yeah. Have yourself a little positive self-talk, a little pep talk.
Totally.
And then race morning, you wake up like a couple of hours, 3 hours, 2 hours before the race, and do you have like a routine that you do on race morning?
You've rehearsed race morning. Everybody here, I hope you've rehearsed race morning. So nothing is new. Nothing should be new. Nothing.
No.
Right.
No.
So you wake up, you have the same meal and the same coffee you've always had, and I do exactly what I've done before workouts. Like I even do workouts where I only warm up for like 8 minutes, which is the same marathon simulation workout. And then, so you're used to that 8-minute warm up. You're used to all these things because you basically start the marathon, like, especially if you're in the corrals cold, you're starting cold. You've done nothing.
Yeah.
And so, you have to have done maybe some practice doing nothing and whatever. But I don't change anything. So oatmeal, coffee, a gel at the start line. Mm-hmm. If you know me and you've warmed up with me, I'm probably talking about cats and just like where I'm going for dinner after, like just talking about normal things.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Natasha Wodak, for joining us in the Marathon Handbook Podcast. We've been live from Toronto. This has been amazing.
Woo!
Live from Toronto. It's Saturday night.
All right. Thank you very much for coming, and thanks for having us.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for everybody in the audience for sticking
Thank
around.
you.
Good luck tomorrow.